Welcome back, toy fans, to episode 206 of Ronald's Reviews. And on today's episode, we're going to take a look at the real Ghostbusters classics Ecto1. Cue the march. Welcome back, everyone. Now, like I said in the intro, today we're going to take a look at the Ghostbusters classics Ecto1. Now, I realise this has been out for a few years now, but real Ghostbusters is a line that I think is neglected on the channel. I did collect it when I was a kid, and I just thought it would be good to take a look at it now. So we're going to take a look at the real Ghostbusters Classics Ecto1, and at the end of the video, we're also going to take a look at just how it holds up against the vintage Kenner version. Let's go take a look.
There's something strange in the neighborhood.
So who you gonna call? Ghostbusters!
Okay, where are those ghosts? Meow! They're everywhere. I'll reel this one into Ecto1. Bankman, over here. It's Bug-Eye. I think he's got his eye on you, Winston. Uh-oh, somebody needs a dentist. Watch it. That's Squisher. I've been goofed. Gross. Let's turn these ghosts to toast. Neutralize them.
Ghostbusters, each sold separately. From Kenner.
We ain't afraid of no ghosts. Yeah!
Okay, folks, here we go. So we're going to take a look at the box first. And at first glance, I think the box looks absolutely fantastic. Instantly, it reminds me of that vintage Kenner box. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a vintage box to compare it with. But at first glance, I just think, yeah, I remember that image. Looks amazing and just a stunning, stunning piece of artwork. Now, as opposed to the vintage version, obviously this looks like a digital rendering, so obviously been done on a computer. I think the original looked like it had sort of been drawn. It was original artwork. But absolutely fantastic and just looks amazing. However, one thing I didn't notice until I was looking at this closely is there's no raised stance on the front of the box. Now, I just thought all four of the guys, in my mind, all four of the guys were on the front of the box, but we've only got Egon, Winston and Peter Venkman, so there's no Ray on the front of the box, which I think is absolutely mind-boggling. I never noticed that until I started looking at this closely and looking at doing the overview of this, but an amazing image. Like I said, we all recognise that image. Absolutely amazing, fantastically reminiscent of the original version and just looks wonderful. Well, let's just spin it round. And then again, on the back, very reminiscent of the original box. We can see the Ecto1 there in all its glory. We've got the ghost in the retractable claw at the back there. We've got all this jargon that we often get on the back of modern boxes now. We've got the seat at the top there. Not quite sure what's going on with that image. Obviously a figure in that seat, but he's all whited out. I'm not quite sure why that is, but yeah. Again, very reminiscent of the original box and just looks great. The box is solid and sturdy as well and does display great. And like I said, at first glance, you think, yeah, this is very, very reminiscent of the vintage box from Kenner. But when you actually put them side by side, there are quite a few differences. So straight away you can see that the Ecto1 is written in different font on the Hasbro version, so it's yellow in more of a blocky font. The text boxes are in different places on the original and in different colours as well. And of course, one thing that I noticed straight away on the vintage box was there's that huge white outline in the image, which we don't have on the Hasbro version. So when you actually put them side by side, even though at first glance you think very much the same as the vintage box, there are quite a few differences. But the Hasbro box does display fantastic. It does look great. But let's get the Ecto1 out and see what we've got. Okay, and there we go, folks. And there is the Ecto1 out of the box in all its glory. And unfortunately, instantly, when opening this, I have a gripe. So when I opened it, the second I opened the top of the box, I found my instructions, which is fine. Obviously, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the instructions. But you'll notice that the instructions have a massive fold in that. And now that doesn't bother me because I'm not going to do anything with the instructions. But what I didn't realise was these were folded up inside, pretty much like that, in sort of almost at a right angle. And Hasbro have nicely put my stickers inside the instructions. So now my stickers have a massive crease down the centre there, or pretty much the centre. So I'm hoping when I've applied those, that will obviously be fine. You won't be able to tell, but straight away, why would you do that? Why would you put the decals inside the instructions and then fold the instructions? Look at that. So not very happy with that, but hopefully they'll come out when they're applied. But we've got the Ghost, that we've got the original, or with the original. And then, of course, the star of the show, the Ecto1. Now, it looks lovely and minty white. And initially, when I've pulled out the box, because I've got a vintage Ecto1, there are a few subtle differences. But I'm going to get the stickers applied, and then we're going to take a good look at this, and then at the end of the video put my original next to the Hasbro Classics version and just see what those differences are. Okay, here we go folks, and there it is in all its glory, stickers applied, and I've got to say it does look fantastic. Now, I think this has had a bit of a rough time with reviews. I think people weren't really impressed by it. I've got to say, initially I think it looks great, but let's just take a look at the Ghost to start with. So obviously there we go, we've got the Ghost that we got with the original. Now when you put it next to the original, this is definitely, now it might just be because it's newer, but it's definitely more translucent. And actually I think the original one was slightly bigger, just a tiny bit, but very much the same. But then let's put that out of the way and let's look at the Ecto1 now. This is awesome. Minty white, stickers applied. Now I've got to admit, I'm a little bit upset with the stickers because even though they've gone on fine, in a certain light, when the light hits it a certain way, you can still see those creases. Not much, but they can be seen. So I'm a bit upset by that. But it is an absolutely awesome vehicle. And just great to have a minty new, minty white example of the Ecto1. We've got the gunner chair on the top. Nice and solid. That fits really well. The guns on my vintage version, they just flop about, but nice and solid on this, and it just looks so good when you got it head on and then at an angle, and it's just a massive, you forget how big the Ecto1 is. It's such a huge toy, and back in the day, what a great toy to have as a kid. So it is really nice. It just seems a lot more crisper and smoother. The joins seem a bit more seamless, which I guess they should because it's a newer version. My initial thoughts is they've done a fantastic job of this. Again, you can see, I don't think you'll get it on camera, but you can see that crease when the light hits it a certain way. There's a crease there in that sticker. So annoyed. But it does look great. And yeah, I'm really impressed with this. Now, of course, it is just a straight up remake of the vintage version, but just so nice to have a brand new example. No marks on it. Like I said, minty white, fresh stickers. And just a great example. But one thing I would say, and I thought this back in the day, those lights there, we've got the casing and they're clearly like a see-through plastic that they've used. Those lights are set up to have lights and sounds in this. Obviously we've got that in the Playmobil version, and I'm just amazed that we never got that famous siren and lights in the original or in this one. I just think that would have topped it off perfectly. But really impressed with it at first glance. The only thing that is niggling me a little bit is that this back door, now if I'm doing it wrong, someone jump in the comments and tell me, but this just flops open. Now we've got obviously the tether inside there, so we can pull that out and we can put the Ghost in there, which we'll do in a second. But this, let me just put that back in. This door just flops. I'm waiting for it to click and snap in place so it's secure, but it just kind of flops open. There's nothing holding it. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong there, but it just doesn't secure, which is annoying. So, but let's pull this out and let's just see if we can put the Ghost in there. And then in theory, if I remember rightly, we should just pop this exhaust to, is it capture mode? Don't know if I've got enough table, folks, actually. Let's just try. There we go. And it pulls it in. I'm going to run out of table, but then it pulls it in and we shut the door. But yeah, I think I'm really impressed with it. I really am. It feels substantial. It feels a bit of weight to it. It feels solid. But yeah, really happy with it. However, how does it hold up against the original Kenner version? Let's find out. Okay, folks, here we go. So now we've got them side by side. After having a good look at them both next to each other, obviously there are a few subtle differences, but what I will say is I'm actually really impressed. This is the first time I've had them both on the table next to each other and had a real good look at them. I'm really impressed with just how well my vintage Ecto1, my Kenner version, is holding up. Now, obviously you can see this one is far whiter, but my vintage one's not too far behind, you know. It's really holding up well. In fact, I may put that one back in the box and display this one from now on because that's doing real well and I'd like to preserve it. But anyway, having put them side by side, there is a few differences and I'll go through them with you now. So the first one I noticed is the grille. So when you put them next to each other, the grille on the new version is real more prominent. The detail on it is more prominent. The headlights and the grille, the detailing is just a little bit more exact. the detailing is a little bit more prominent. Now that might just be due to age, but the biggest difference is obviously the number plates. When you put them next to each other, obviously the Hasbro version, the sticker, the font is a lot more crisp and clear, whereas on the Ecto1 and the vintage version, obviously the font is a little bit more blurry. Again, that maybe just be down to age, but yeah, the number plate is a lot more precise on the Hasbro version, which I guess you would expect. Another difference is the linings of the doors. Now when you look at the lining of the tops of the doors along the roof on the Hasbro version, it is a lot more subtle and in line, whereas on the vintage Kenner version, it's a little bit more defined, but there's also like a plastic join at the front where the window joins the doors, and it's just a little bit unsightly, whereas we don't have that on the Hasbro version. And then one big difference, which again took me a while to notice, is the wheels. Now on the Hasbro version, we've got silver inners on the wheels, but it's like silver paint and there's no reflection to it. It's almost like a matte finish, whereas the vintage Kenner version, it's like a chrome finish. It's mirrored, so you can actually see a reflection in the wheels on the vintage Kenner version. And again, it's just a really, really nice touch. I actually prefer the vintage Kenner version for the wheel section. The back is very much the same. Obviously, the door sticker is a little bit more acute and a little bit more precise on the Hasbro version, which again, you would expect. The vintage Kenner version, on the ghost stickers on the doors and on the boot, they have a white surround on the sticker, whereas the Hasbro version is cut, so you don't have that edging. But if I'm completely honest, folks, next to each other, they look amazing. And at first glance, the differences are just so negligible. They're so minimal. And if I'm honest, if you can't afford the vintage Kenner version of the Ecto1, if you pick up a classics version from Hasbro, I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's a really nice alternative, and it'll go great in anyone's Ghostbusters collection. So there we go, folks. That is the Hasbro Real Ghostbusters Classics Ecto1. And like I said, you've seen the differences now between this one and the vintage Kenner version. If I'm honest, like I said, if you can't afford the vintage version, pick this one up. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. And the price point now, when this was released, it was around the £50 mark. If you jump onto eBay now, you can pick this up brand new, boxed, for around the £20 to £25 mark. For that price, for me, it's a no-brainer to pick it up. They did release the figures with this. Now, if you follow me and you follow the channel closely, you know that I really enjoy displaying carded reissue figures alongside their vintage versions. I am hoping to do that with the Ghostbusters Classics as well. However, they're still a little bit pricey to say they've been out a while, so once they drop a little bit, I'll pick up the carded versions to display behind my vintage versions. But like I said, pick this up, £20 to £25 on eBay, you will not be disappointed. So yeah, there we go, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by and giving me a shot. I hope you'll consider leaving a like and subscribing. And if you're one of my existing viewers and existing subscribers, you know the drill, everyone, by now. Leave a like, leave a comment. I try to get back to everybody. And as always, keep collecting. I'll see you next time.